There's things that you can do earlier in the day that'll directly impact how much you eat later in the day. And now there's more and more research coming out on things like this because people are interested. We want to know how things work. So it's interesting because just 10 grams of this specific fat an hour before you eat lunch or a meal in general can play a huge role in how much you eat. And it's not just psychological. There's some interesting stuff going on. So let's go ahead and dive into this study. It's very interesting stuff. After today's video, check out Bowmar Nutrition. I put a special link down below for their product called Melt. Melt is interesting because it capitalizes on two very specific ways of utilizing fat as energy. It helps mobilize fat, which means getting it into the bloodstream so it's circulating, and then it has compounds in it to help with oxidation. Now, I know that Josh over at Bowmar is a really solid guy that puts a lot of effort into his products, and that's exactly why I put a link down below for them. So it's very interesting. I love they're using ashwagandha as an adaptogen to kind of help the body with performance as well, but they also have a stimulant version and a non-stimulant version. So if you're looking for more of the potential fat loss effect without being, totally amped up on caffeine, you can go that route too. They also use what's called rauwolfin, which is interesting because you can't get it in all countries, but rauwolfin is really, really powerful as a vasodilator. Okay, so if you're mobilizing fat, you want it to circulate better. Anyhow, really cool combination of ingredients there. So I put a link down below for a special discount. It's down below in the description. And a big thank you to Bowmar for continuing to sponsor content and make this possible. Okay, so the study was published in the European Journal of Clinical Nutrition. Super cool. They gave subjects 20 grams, 20 grams first in the morning of MCT oil or 20 grams of corn oil, which who uses corn oil now? I don't know. Okay, and what they did is they measured their blood work, they took a look at biomarkers for a while, and then they said, we want you to go ahead and eat lunch and eat as much lunch as you want. Except half of the group, we want you to have just 10 grams of MCT oil 1 hour before lunch. The group that ended up having the 10 grams of MCT oil 1 hour before lunch ate significantly less food. Now, you might be thinking, oh, it's just because it's a fat. Well, no, it's not, because that doesn't happen with other fats necessarily, because there's not much volume in fat, especially 10 grams. We're talking like a tablespoon of MCT oil. That is not enough to really signal a metabolic effect here. What's happening is up here, and this is what's really interesting. So the researchers wanted to dive into this because they're like, why did 20 grams of MCT oil in the morning not affect a meal 3 hours later, but 10 grams 1 hour before did? And it has to do with the fact that MCT oil absorbs so fast, it drains directly into the portal vein. So it doesn't have to bind to like a chylomicron and do the same normal sort of transport that other fats that are longer chain do. Because it's a shorter chain type of fat, it goes right into the portal vein, which means it can go right into the bloodstream. And there is some evidence with other studies that show that MCT oil increases brain energetics. So it actually activates the brain a little bit more. So there's a couple theories. Theory one is the brain is more astute and you're able to make better decisions with your food. So you're able to actually say, oh, maybe I don't want to eat as much. My brain is telling me what I should do properly. But they also seem to see that there is an increase in peptide YY. Now, peptide YY is a gut incretin. It's a gut hormone that does tell us that we're more full. In theory, because MCT oil is absorbing so fast, it could be driving up this PYY very fast. Now, PYY binds to specific receptors in the brain. So it's one of the communication lines between the gut and the brain that says, hey, we got enough food. So because this isn't sitting in digestion for a very long time, it's going right into absorption, the brain is able to sense this signal that there is enough food all of a sudden. Thereby, it doesn't have to make you super hungry. It's more satiated. But there's another piece of the equation here. Whether or not you are doing a ketogenic diet, there is a chance that MCT oil is converting into ketones. There are even some subjects that show that people that aren't necessarily following a ketogenic diet, but maybe they're slightly low carb, MCT oils absorb so fast and do go to the liver and do form ketones pretty quick that you might actually have some circulating ketones. Now, a lot of people that watch my channel are doing lower carb protocols. So if you are following a ketogenic diet, MCT oil prior to a meal an hour before is going to have a definite double whammy effect. You get this effect we talked about from the brain, But in this case, MCT oil does convert to ketones, and ketones do have an effect on decreasing ghrelin, the hunger hormone. So if we decrease ghrelin, then yeah, you're not going to be ravenous. So regardless of whether you are low carb or not, a tablespoon of MCT oil an hour before a meal could be a very, very, very smart move as long as you're not overdoing it and adding too much calories. But the interesting thing that we learned with the study is that if it's longer than an hour, it doesn't seem to have that effect. And if it's closer than an hour, it may not have that effect. So if you know you're about to eat, a little bit of MCT oil, pop it back, and you're good to go. As always, keep it locked in here on my channel. I'll see you tomorrow.